Hey there, everybody. PTPOP here with all four lobes of my brain securely bound behind my back. And today I have women in prison who work in call centers.
Oh, behave. Yeah.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Stay tuned. Behind bars. The prison inmates who work at a call center.
Jesus H. Christ.
So I found this video on YouTube titled "The Call Center Operators Who Are Prison Inmates in Singapore." Behind bars. And I just had to talk about this. Now, the video itself isn't particularly funny. But it turns out that there's a variety of these people who are incarcerated, and they have been given the option to work as call center representatives, taking inbound calls instead of sitting in their jail cells. And I think most of these ladies have been, they've got good conduct. Their conduct has been really good. So the warden, whoever it is, has decided to let them work in a call center. It says here, your customer service agent could be an inmate. In the final part of a series about life in jail. So this is not necessarily a funny or humorous movie. These are women who have been incarcerated for any number of years, for any number of sentences. And due to their good conduct behind bars, the warden or whoever the powers to be are above them, have decided to give them a good job of getting out of their cell to take calls from people like you and me, I guess. So the next time you're taking a call, or the next time you're calling into a call center, and somebody answers the phone and you decide to be a jerk to them, consider that they may in fact shank you in the shower the next morning. Or they may show up at your doorstep one day and say, "Hey, remember me? I was in Sing Sing when I took that call from you, and I found out who you were in Alvidazane, baby." That kind of thing. But these are women, and I'm going to play the video and just comment on it here. This is a prison in Singapore. These are women behind bars in Singapore. So the video is from CNA, which is Channel News Asia. And the video is 5 minutes long. So this is the video here. I'll bring this up. Look at the room, man. I mean, these poor ladies. I don't know what would be worse. Having to take call center calls or being in a jail cell. Seriously, I just don't know what would be worse. I mean, I've never been in jail. So I would imagine from what I've heard about jail, just, through the media and stuff like that, it's not the best thing to experience. So here we'll start this video off. This lady is talking about the last iPhone she operated because she's been in jail for so long. The last iPhone she operated was the iPhone 3.
The last phone I used was like iPhone 3. Now it's iPhone 12, I think.
Sandy has served almost 12 years of her 20-year sentence. And, honestly, this call center looks better than almost any of them I've ever worked in, other than Verizon. This looks like the Verizon call center, because the Verizon call center had windows at the top. There weren't bars on them, but there may as well have been. It was brightly lit with white walls. It was probably the nicest call center I ever worked in. The biggest one, too, is like a 1,500-man call center. Sandy has served almost 12 years of her 20-year sentence, and she expects to be released next year with the usual remission for good behavior. For the past 2 years, she's been working in a call center. Seriously, I mean, this is a nice-looking place. I mean, I guess it must beat the hell out of sitting in a 10-by-6 cell or something, or an 8-by-6 cell or whatever they are, with some crazy broad in the bunk above you. Trying to pick up skills for when she returns to the workforce. Yeah, I guess she'll get some skills. She'll learn modern computers. She'll learn customer service and probably sales.
When I first started, I was initially assigned to a campaign that was sales-oriented.
So when she first started, she was initially assigned to a campaign that was sales-oriented. So they're going to get her ready for doing some sales things in the real world.
It was a bit difficult for me back then because it was hard for me to convince the customer to stay on the line.
Yeah, that's always hard. That's a real pain in the butt trying to get somebody to stay on the line when you're doing sales. I've done a bunch of sales and it's a real bear.
People were being hesitant of being scammed or being cheated. So that was a difficulty that I faced. Product knowledge was also another difficulty I stumbled upon.
Because I've been lost touch with the relative for quite some time. So
What did she say? Because I've lost touch with reality for quite some time. So she hasn't been out in the real world for a while. Her name is Sandy, a Changi prison inmate. So I guess she's saying since she hasn't been outside of prison for a while and she's lost touch with how the world is, it's harder for her to deal with people calling in. It doesn't matter, Sandy. Honestly, I don't know if you're out of prison now, but when you're out in the real world and you've never been in prison, it's still difficult to deal with these people that call in on the phones.
my computer literacy is like very low. So
Yeah.
I try to my best to like back up with what I forget. So I tend to get some helps from all my peers.
So she's lacking computer skills.
Get them to teach me and remind me back how to do the Excel sheet and everything. I also handling emails. I tend to forget how to email. So after that, slowly I tend to like, okay, oh yeah, it's like that, I forget.
My sentence is about 3 years plus. I'm expected to be released in July this year. I told them that I needed a job and I don't want to be just seated in the cell. Because it's 23 hours in the cell if you are not working. So they saw my behavior as well and my conduct. So based on that, I was recommended to work.
So these ladies were spending 23 hours in a cell. So they probably gave them an hour to go eat and shower and stuff and then get back in their cell. So this must beat the heck out of sitting in a cell. And I joke and I say, well, maybe call center work is worse than being in jail. No, probably not. I mean, at least you get to, I would imagine if you've been locked up for any period of time and you're only talking to crazy people in the jail and in the guards, you at least get to talk to other people over the phones.
So my working hours are from Mondays to Fridays, 9 to 5:30 approximately.
9 to 5:30. She gets first shift and she's a prison inmate. I've never gotten first shift in a call center. Never did time even in jail for a traffic ticket or anything. Good Lord.
So let me ask you this. What happens if these ladies don't meet their metrics? Do they get 30 days in the hole? 30 days in the hole?
Sentenced to 30 days in the cooler.
Do they get sent back to their cell until they learn to be good little girls? How do they punish these ladies for not meeting their metrics, for not meeting their sales goals? What did they do to them? Extend their sentence? How do they treat these women if they do not meet their goals?
We have our lunch and dinner here. We also have 2 tea breaks. And then during the working hours, I handle calls, I do emails, escalations, and so on.
Inmates are trained to provide call center services and marketing for healthcare and consumer goods. I'll tell you what, I'm going to be nice to the next call center rep I talk to because I had no idea I could be talking to literal. I always say that there's probably felons working alongside me in these call centers, but now I know that there really are, especially if if the United States offshores call centers to this company that works with inmates in prison. Be nice to these people, man. They're suffering. Granted, they've committed some atrocious things probably, but in the words of Jesus Christ, he who is sinless may cast the first stone. She says they would be taught certain customer service delivery skills
that they need to undergo to make sure that they are well equipped and be able to speak confidently with their clients.
We have soft skills training, and before we start, we also have some test call. So we will tend to actually gain more knowledge from our seniors. So they will teach us how to handle these type of difficult patients. They will let us listen to previous call logs that how they handled it before.
I did not expect to pass, honestly. I'm not a very sales-oriented person back then. I didn't thought that I would be a sales-oriented person. But seems like I had always had this drive in me.
Yeah, that's true about sales. I got into sales the first time, I think I told you all the other night, was when I worked for Dial America. And
I did.
Rolling Stone magazine. I was selling Rolling Stone magazine. Then I moved to a different company that was selling a long distance plan for back then.
You know,
Sprint. Quit hitting the button, Pete. Sprint was a long distance carrier way back in the day, and I was selling a plan that sold long distance calls for 10 cents a minute, and I did quite well with that.
skills.
But I didn't think I could. I had no idea I could sell.
Yeah. Over time, I have gained more experience, and now I'm also someone whom my fellow colleagues can approach to when they have trouble handling their phone calls.
So she's a senior rep now. I don't know if they said what her sentence was.
I have been also awarded awards such as answering the most number of calls and so on.
So she's got good metrics, and yet she's still in prison. Just kidding there, young lady. It really teach me a lot.
It really teach me a lot. Teach me how to prepare myself, even though it's been like so long, yeah. Make me to have my own self-confidence that I can do it.
Yeah, when you do achieve things in a call center, it does boost your self-confidence. Anytime I knew I had conquered the systems and had got the script down, and I had turned customers around and started to sell them, regardless of what the supervisors had said about my performance, I always felt good about myself because I'd achieved so many things pretty much on my own. It's a good feeling.
I can lead a better life.
I definitely don't want to put myself in this position again. Under better circumstances, I would want to have this interview elsewhere. But still, it's an exposure for me. I take this positively. Working here, getting to know, this is a connection to the outside world to a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean, these ladies get to talk to people outside the walls of this prison, which has got to be a huge relief. I can only imagine what it's like to be isolated like that. You've committed some horrible crime, and you're stuck. You're stuck in this prison, and you get to talk to these people. And even if they're just calling you dirty, filthy names, calling you a pickle sucker and all that stuff, it's got to be better than staring at the walls of a tiny cell.
Speaking to customers, to clients, selling a product, being interviewed. I hope to be able to secure a job long term. This was something I was not able to sustain outside. So if while in prison, I can work for a duration of over a year, I believe I can do better when I'm outside.
Yeah, I mean, if they still have call centers by the time she's released, she'll be able to find a job in no time, and in no time flat. And hopefully I would think the prison would have connections outside to say, hey, whatever her name is, I don't remember her name, you did good here. We've got a connection with you. You've got a job on the outside. And this will be a good place for her to work. And it may not be torture to her like it is for someone like me. For some reason, I find the environment of a call center terrible, but I've not been locked in a cell for 23 hours a day like she has. So this might look like heaven to her.
So I'm going to take this opportunity to change myself and also seek a long-term employment and therefore getting a better future.
So this was presented and produced and directed by Raidza Rahman, journalist David Tam, and Louisa Tang.
So this is just a postscript here. I'm sitting here watching this video and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. Let me see how this works. So you're a corporation, you're XYZ PD Corporation, you're Kamanawana Leon Morton, and you don't want to hire employees to work in your call center. Think about this. They treat us like dogs when they put us on the payroll and they're paying us our health benefits and giving us like a dollar for dollar match in our 401k for the first 4%, but they treat us like dogs, forcing everybody to quit, firing people left and right. It's such a hassle. It's such chaos at the headquarters, up in the upper echelons, the CEO, the CIO, the CFO, the head of human resources. They're losing minds over this call center. There's just, a money pit. So they decide to call up the local prison in Singapore and say, hey, look, would you take our calls? We can get the women in this prison some training on computers, customer service, and sales skills. But they're doing this because they're probably not paying these women anything. They're obviously not paying them a dime. I don't know if they're paying the prison system something, but this is the extremes these corporations will go to bypass the hassles of hiring people that they have to put on the payroll. This is what they'll go to save a buck.
Well, of all the cheap, lousy ways to save a buck.
So that's women working in call centers from behind bars. I hope you like that one. If you like what I do here on PTPOP Call Center Survivor, give me the thumbs up. Punch the subscribe button. Tell your friends, your relatives, anybody else who's being held captive in a call center to watch my channel. Maybe I can give them some relief. I've gotten some great comments from many of you who have told me that I have helped many of you work in or get through a call center or get through your day or find an alternative source of employment. I'm glad I can help. Not everybody can leave a call center. I have been fortunate enough to be able to quit a variety of them. It's a rough job, but these ladies found a silver lining in a gray cloud. And I think once they get out, they're going to be able to find work anywhere they go, no matter what city, especially in Singapore and the Asian cities. If they can work on their accents and they're taking inbound calls from Americans, that's got to be a tough gig because all of us Americans are assholes. We all think we're all that in a bag of chips, and I can only imagine getting calls from some American who thinks he's all that because he's hears a woman on the other their phone with an Asian accent. People go ballistic. Get me American. I want American. Get me American operator. Do you hear me? Get me one pronto. So there you have it. So I hope you're all having a good week. Today is Wednesday. It's like May, what is it? It's May 9th already. And I hope you're having a good week. And if you're interested in supporting this channel, I've got memberships here where I have behind-the-scenes videos. I have behind-the-scenes videos on Patreon. And I also have a variety of other ways you can support me. But the easiest and the least expensive way is for free. Just give me the thumbs up, hit subscribe, tell people about the channel, and appreciate your support and everything that you do. And thank you for your time today. And I'll talk to you and see you all soon. I'll be the same, baby.